Here.
Mrs. Martin.
Here.
Ms. Miller. Mr. Osowski.
Here.
The chair is here. Ms. Jesuit. Here. If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Or stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right. So President's remarks, my first remark is my always remark, please place all cell phones on silent. I also want to just give some clarification. So I'm sure that many of you are here to address this board, and we thank you for that because we value your opinions. There are two opportunities in which you would address the board. The first one is the call to the audience regarding an agenda item. So if you're here to talk to us about something that is on this agenda tonight, that's your time to speak. Later in the meeting, there's a second call to the audience regarding non-agenda items. So if you're here to talk to us about anything else, that is your time to speak. And then there are forms out in the hall that we ask that you fill out, and just make sure you put them back in that envelope before I do that call, and I will do a last call before I call people. Typically, the board does not respond. This isn't a conversation with the board, it's an address of the board. Part of why we don't respond is because we would be here all night if we talked to 20 people and went back and forth, right? So we try to respect your time and our time as well. There is quite a bit on this agenda tonight. I apologize for that. Hang in with us, I promise. I will do my best to get us through this in a timely manner so that we're not here until all hours of the night. We don't want to be those school boards that are here till 3 in the morning. I'll be cranky. The second thing I want to address is we do currently have a board vacancy. We have some candidates for that. We will be holding a special meeting to interview those candidates next week, and then we will be making a decision, hopefully, at that meeting because we have a time frame to fill that vacancy. Having said that, can I get a motion to adopt the agenda of the May 13th regular meeting as presented or amended?
So.
It was moved by Mr. Osowski, seconded by Mrs. Miller. I'm actually going to ask for it to be amended to include potential. Okay, so we're actually amending the agenda to include a potential disciplinary action of a board member. So it will be amended. That disciplinary action will come potentially as under action items number 10. All right, so all in favor of the amended board meeting, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? So you're opposed, Mr. Clerk?
I am.
Okay. The motion is 5-1. Motion carries. All right, so we will move on to the call to the audience regarding public participation regarding agenda items. And we have none at this time. All right. Moving on to presentations. Our first presentation is the 2021 Capital Bond Project Update, Plant Marine, Neil Point, and the Chrisman Company.
Good evening, everyone. Today we are giving a
presentation following up from the presentation we did at the last meeting regarding bid package 11 for Hilbert Elementary. The site improvements project related to the Field of Wow. So today's presentation is a recap of the previous presentation for the award recommendation and also provide a bond budget summary for you. Today we'll just go through the design recap that we reviewed last time, show you where we're at in the schedule, talk about the award recommendation that's presented today as an action item, review the bond budget summary, and then have a discussion on the Redford Union High School baseball field potential project and future site, and answer any questions that you guys may have. So, looking at the design recap, this gives you an overview of the site to show you where the site improvements would be at Hilbert with the new Field of Wow that would be installed out there. So, inside that red box shows you the location that would be on the overall location of the site. The drawing that we reviewed last week shows you the work that is included, the concrete that's around the building, or I'm sorry, the field. The field work itself, a little bit that changed on this, we did go back and look, a couple change, the one change we had related to an ASI is for the flagpole. Originally it was out in center field. We looked to bring that closer to the building to help reduce some of the cost on the project. So now the flagpole is out in right field of the ball field closer to the building. But other than that, the design documents essentially stay the same as presented last week. And the next slide shows you that rendering that we reviewed. The infield of the ball field is all the play surfacing for that. So the green, the dirt, brown that you see there, it's all the same play surfacing for the kids to be on. You got concrete accessibility around the sites. You got the dugouts for each of those, and then it ties into the playground that's out there. So again, these were all reviewed at the last meeting. Just wanted to kind of review that with you, follow up. And some of the related images shows the playground that's out there now, what the dugouts would potentially look like with this project, and what the field itself would look like. In the lower right-hand corner, you can see the green and the browns for the grass and the dirt, but it's all that place surfacing, just colored to look like the ball fields. So, any questions on the design recap that we reviewed at the last meeting related to the scope of the project? So if we look at the schedule, again, we took bids for this project on April 22nd, conducted post-bid interviews. We presented this recap of those bids on April 23rd, finalized that, and we're here today on the 13th, recommending it for approval for you guys. This would allow us to get contracts issued in the next week or so and get the project started in June with the completion at the end of August of construction. So a summary of the award recommendation is in the package here today. The hard construction cost total is $778,087. This includes two work categories, work category 2 for earthwork and work category 10 for concrete. The next few items are basically related to the CM fees and costs associated with performing that work. You got the general requirements, general liability insurance, CM contingency, CM fee, and their bond amount. So it brings it to a total award recommendation today of $879,475. Couple notes on the scope that changed from last time when we presented this. ASI 1 was issued to relocate the flagpole closer to the building, and with that allowed us to remove the electrical scope of work that was pretty substantial to get lights out there to the flagpole. So we're going to bring it closer to the building and utilize the existing lighting on the building, while also maybe upgrading it a little bit to shine on that flagpole. So we were able to pull out the electrical scope. That's why you only see the two work categories for earthwork and concrete. And then alternate 1 is not part of the recommendation. That was for a new electronic scoreboard. Bond team is not recommending that as part of that package, and we are looking at a manual scoreboard with different options that we can install out there for the field to utilize. So the total award recommendation is strictly for the base bid scope of work. So bond budget summary, as we've talked in the last couple meetings, kind of an overview of where we're at with the bond here as we're getting down towards the end of the bond program. So our total current bond budget is $66,777,929 for the overall bond work that we have going on. Allocated cost to date for bid packs 1 through 10 for all the work there is just over $64 million. So it leaves a total of $2.68 million of, we call it total unallocated reserve, which is essentially dollars available at this point that are not tied to any specific projects, any specific purchases or scope of work in the bond. So these are available funds to be appropriated towards any future projects. So with that, the top cost of bid pack 11 for the Field of Wow, the $879,000, would still leave us with a balance of the bond in the bond of $1.8 million. So I know a lot of questions in the last few meetings about where we're at overall, so I wanted to give you that summary to show you where we are at for dollars available with this project, or if you do award this project, what it leave you with to wrap up everything else. So in that $64 million is the cost to complete everything related to bid packs 1 through 10. Any questions on the budget that I could answer right now for you?
Yeah, so I have a question, and Mr. Belchick might actually be the better person to answer the question. So we're showing our total current bond budget, $66,777,929. That's $6 million more than our bond was. So how do we figure that we have money left over if we call the bond of $59 million and we've spent $64 million?
So the
Help me
majority,
understand
the majority of that is coming from two sources. There are many negative impacts from inflation. One of the positive impacts is the higher interest we're earning on the cash. So we're earning significant amounts of interest on that. It's offsetting part of it. The other part,
We're getting him a mic so y'all can hear.
So part of that is, like we mentioned, is the interest earned, and the other part of it was the $2.9 million that we had put into the ESSER 3 grant. It's going to come across a little differently, but we'll still be earmarking that $2.9 million from ESSER to the construction.
Thank you.
Yep.
Question,
Mrs. Martin.
as it relates to the ESSER funds, we know that technically that was not something that was really geared towards construction for the buildings, but we're going directly towards students.
It is allowable. There are certain parts, we did spend $700,000 on the Keeler roof. Ventilation, heating, roofs, windows, things like that could be, and it is really for the benefit of the students. A healthy building that's in good shape benefits all of us, right? So.
Are there any further questions regarding the budget? I think we're good on that.
All right, so then, last item we have here is for the Redford Union baseball field. We had started having some conversations with Mr. Witt, talking about potential projects still to go with the bond program. And part of that was addressing a new home field for the Redford Union baseball team. So we started talking about a few options as a team, sat down, and a few things we were talking about was a potential partnership with Redford Township for an upgrade or renovation of the current baseball field site. For example, you could, Claude Allison Park has some pretty nice fields there now. There's potential partnership that we could do with them to improve those and be able to use those as high school fields was a potential. Potentially looking at constructing a new baseball field at the McGowan site, or upgrading or renovating a baseball field at like your Beach Elementary site. So kind of taking fields that you have and either upgrading those on your own property, potentially building a new one somewhere within your property, or trying to find a partnership for with the township, that you can work as a team and create fields for your team. So we haven't got into too many more details other than that, started kicking around some initial costs and budgets for some of those. And I think the plan over the next few weeks is to really dig into that and bring some options back to you guys in the future to start discussing that. So just wanted to recap that and open up discussion if there's any questions on the next steps with that.
Mrs. Martin?
So as it relates to the high school baseball field, why we can't just make that accessible for disabled students, make it accessible, adding those structures that we're talking about, the dugouts and all those things like that? Why can't we just have those attached to the one we're talking about for high school?
Well, first of all, we currently don't have a high school baseball field at this point. That is the early college wing, essentially, this building. So the previous location of the baseball field was on this site. That field is no longer there at this point in the process. The other thing is the playing surface that you need for this fully accessible Miracle League Field of Wow field is completely different than the playing surface that you would need for competition play. So where they have these Miracle League fields, they are standalone facilities. It's not that general education students also can't take advantage of those spaces, because they certainly can and are able to, especially at the elementary level, which is one of the reasons we're looking at this field being placed at the Hilbert Elementary site, adjacent to the accessible playground that was also put in as part of this bond project. But the surfaces are totally different for the playing needs of the students who have special needs versus the playing needs for competition at the MHSAA level.
No, didn't we, so we're not totally, because like the WOW is not like per se, like considered to be the Miracle League type of field, right? So even if they were to play on the general, like the high school field, you know what I'm saying, I get it. Is it the asphalt piece, the ground from the asphalt piece? Is that why, what we're concerned about and why they can't play on the one for the high school?
Yes, again, the playing surface for an ADA accessible field is much different than a normal playing surface for another field. And this field is being built per the specifications of the Miracle League fields that are built in some other communities.
But we know that we're not like a certified site. So even if it didn't meet all those criteria, because we're not like a certified Miracle League site.
We're not a certified site yet, but we can pursue that down the road.
So it was stated that you possibly had some ideas for the field, for the live field, like as it relates to like the community members and things like that. You kind of had some ideas outside of the usage outside of the district.
Well, there'll be a lot of internal district use with that field. In addition to that, this was something that was at the onset of the bond campaign, was included and presented as part of the overall package to the voters of this community who supported the bond. And in addition to that, we do know that there's interest from the township to also use this site as well once it would be completed, as well as opportunities for competitions with other communities. And there's a growing amount of special education athletic competition programs within Michigan Public Schools right now. And this field would also allow us to engage other districts within Wayne County and surrounding areas within those programs as well.
So as we think about with the high school, we're thinking about possibly partnering up, one of the possibilities of partnering up with the township. Is that a possibility for the Wild Field?
I don't think at this point in time that I mean, this project is ready to be recommended, so at this point in time, to get the township on board as, I guess, a partner in this particular field that again was included in the projects from the onset of the bond campaign, there's not enough time to do that at this point.
So during the campaign, 'cause I wasn't on the school board then, during the campaign, was this like an actual thing that you promoted to the voters that we were really trying to build a WOW field for our students? Was this a conversation?
It absolutely was from the onset of the bond campaign. And the materials on the website that go all the way back to the beginning of the bond campaign, I believe are available still on the website. And that information is included there.
Thank you.
To the chair.
Mr. Bailey?
How does one gain access to the WOW field?
Mr. Bailey, first I'm going to ask that you use a mic so that our audience, and then I'll repeat your question for me.
Can you hear me now?
Thank you.
So how do we gain access to the WOW field?
There's gate access to the field.
Yeah, for a long time, I've been concerned about the sign that's on Puritan at the, where you come in for the tickets. It says no dogs. What's it say? No bicycles or dogs. But somebody with a wheelchair can't get through. So, do we build all this stuff for everybody, equal access? I understand it would be difficult because a bike can't get around that 90-degree turn, I understand. But neither can a wheelchair.
This field is built and designed to be fully accessible to the students and families and any individuals who would access it. So the whole space is designed to be ADA accessible. And we've already done previous upgrades leading up to this particular project to improve the ADA accessibility of the area that also leads to the playground space that was put in place last summer.
So, this obstacle that exists now, and it's existed there for years, we should be able to correct that so we have accessibility to this area.
So I think that's a separate matter because you're talking about accessibility to the current football field and track, which is a completely separate item than this. And I think it is definitely a conversation worth having about making that current field and track ADA accessible as well. But I think within relation to the field of WOW, they're two separate, that the football field and track have been there for years. I agree that it's not ADA accessible if the community just wants to go and walk on that track, or ride their, go around with their wheelchairs. So that is definitely a conversation that we can have, but it's not currently relevant to the field of WOW. Does that help, Mr. Bailey, that we can have conversation in the future?
As long as it gets taken care of.
Okay.
I have one more question.
Okay, Mrs. Martin.
So as it relates to the access, are you talking about access, like during the summer months when school is not in session, or even when, how will the community have access to the actual field during the summer?
Yes, those gates will be accessible.
So you won't have to contact the district to,
We may have to, depending on what sort of use materializes on that space, we may have to put some logistics in place to monitor those things and create a system for that. But we will work through both our athletic supervisor and Mr. Thomasaitis in facilities and operations to make sure that accessibility to that field is made available on a reasonable basis.
thank you.
Are there any further questions at this time? This is going to come to a vote, so if you have questions pop up, the opportunity will be to ask them when we vote this, unless there's anybody else We're good? All right, I think we're good for now.
Thank you.
All right, we are moving on.
So, I just wanted to introduce this next topic. Many in this room are familiar with the district's transition to work directly and partner with SafeEd for our security monitors within the district. And some things materialized throughout the school year where SafeEd was actually acquired by Secure Environment Consultants. So tonight, and it's on the same existing terms that the district had with SafeEd in terms of the actual agreement and contract. But because we do have a new partner, SEC, in this area, I wanted to provide an opportunity for SEC to introduce themselves to our community and to you guys as our Board of Education. And tonight with us is one of their vice presidents, David Pass, who also is a either retired or semi-retired school administrator. That was the reason for this presentation tonight, and I'll just let Dave present the information that it has for you, and he'll respond to any questions you guys have.
Well, good evening. How's that? Better? Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to come and speak to you tonight. Like Jason said, retired from public education, almost 28 years of service, retired for a whole weekend, and then came to Secure Environment Consultants. So been with Secure Environment Consultants for just over a year and a half now, and overseeing our SHIELD division. And so I wanted to provide a little bit of background if you're not aware, but Secure Environment Consultants was founded in 2013 by Jason Russell. He started his career as a Lansing police officer, and then spent about a decade in the Secret Service, and founded Secure Environment Consultants. So we've been in operation for just over 11 years. We conducted Redford Union site assessments, so about a year ago, so you're probably familiar with some of the findings and recommendations from that report. And this past year, we started our SHIELD division. So after we worked with probably about 70%, more than 70% of the schools in the state of Michigan, consulting, providing training, site assessments, a variety of different services for schools. And that led us to forming our SHIELD division, where we provide directors of safety and security and what we call safety managers. I think you called them security officers here in the district. And so we are now working in 15 school districts in a variety of areas across the state. And recently, towards the end of March, acquired SafeEd. And so we'll be doing some transitions over the summer. You'll see a little different uniforms. Most daily operations are going to remain intact with what you see on a daily basis. SafeEd had done a very nice job with their work in the buildings, and we're very happy with that. So a couple of things that will be a little bit different for the district, I think in a positive way, is through some of the additional supports that we're able to provide. SHIELD, running our security personnel side of the business. We also have the consulting side as well through our Secure Environment Consultants. And so there are a couple of additional benefits that we'll be able to support the district moving forward. One of those is through just incident management and ongoing consulting. And so Jason Russell, our president and founder, he supported Oxford Community Schools, which is actually where I retired from. After the tragedy, really the day of the tragedy, came to the district and helped support all our recovery efforts, evaluated everything you could imagine around safety and security. He responded to the swatting incident in Okemos Public Schools. And so, and then we provide a lot of ongoing consulting regarding a variety of different issues that occur in schools, whether it's threats of violence, or even some other, more common things that you might encounter on a daily basis. And so that is a service and support that we provide to the district. So if there are incidents that arise that require some additional support, we've got consultants that are able to assist the district and kind of work through that process. The other component is training. So we provide a variety of trainings for schools. As a Shield partner, those trainings are all discounted for the district. We provide critical incident response training. We'll run tabletop exercises, kind of scenario-based discussions for schools. We provide de-escalation training. We've got a variety of others as well that are catered towards front office personnel, transportation departments. And so, those supports, and we've certainly shared those with Mr. Witt, and we'll be available to conduct those as needed. Another support we provide is we call targeted social media monitoring. And so we're fortunate that we have Sharon Connolly on our team. She was an analyst with the Secret Service. We're able to conduct some investigations, all open source information, so we're not getting into private accounts, but she has systems and software that she has used with the Secret Service and help her identify some information that school administrators may not have the ability or skill to be able to find. So we recommend that schools embed that investigative process into their threat assessment program. And so we've discussed that and shared that information with the district. And then we also have an online training suite that you have access to, where we have an online critical incident training, de-escalation training, and crisis communication. So those additional resources are available for the district. And then one of the other, I think, bigger separators is that when we created SHIELD, we wanted to develop really an enhanced training program for our staff. And as a matter of fact, we trained Redford Union's team last August. They were able to participate in our training. It was a 5-day training over the summer where we provide really a wealth of knowledge to elevate the capacity of our safety managers so they're prepared to respond in the event of an emergency, no matter what that emergency is, whether it's a weather-related emergency, active assailant, any other shelter-in-place evacuation, so they really know how to prepare and respond to those incidents. We do a lot of very specific trainings for school personnel to understand their role in a school environment. So we talk about understanding special needs students and their disabilities and how they may need to communicate differently with students, or understanding how perhaps some dysregulated students might respond, to their interactions. We talk about trauma and how that would inform or impact, students on a daily basis. We'll talk about Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act and really things related to the school environment to help them be successful. We also go over a behavioral threat assessment training with them. Not the kind of training that your building level teams go through, but really more of a higher level so that they understand how to identify potential threats, who to report those to, so they can play an integral role in that process. And then we provide all of our folks are certified through the Crisis Prevention Institute with the Nonviolent Crisis Intervention Training with the Advanced Physical Skills. And so we were not able last year, because the Redford Union folks were not our employees, we weren't able to certify them officially. They did go through the training, but we'll certainly be able to certify them moving forward. So that's a little bit about SHIELD and what we provide, and certainly open for any questions that you might have.
Okay, so I guess I'll go first, and then I'll see where my board is. So essentially, we will see hopefully the same team that we currently have in place, because you basically just bought their company, right? But you did mention a uniform change, and I think it's very important that we are aware of uniforms and how they can be perceived. So I guess I would want to hear more. Is it more like a t-shirt, kind of casual, not like a scary kind of, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Because we don't want them to appear threatening, but we do want people to be able to recognize who they are, right?
Yes.
So that they know not to mess with them.
Yes, no, understood. Yeah, they will be black polo shirts with the SHIELD logo, so very similar to what you're used to right now, just not as bright. But then we will have a yellow lanyard so that the folks will be still identifiable, but yeah, a different color. So yeah, very approachable. Yes, right.
And then I'm always concerned about how company, and this may be a conversation that I need to have offline, but I'm always concerned about that we do business with companies who treat their employees equitably and pay them a living wage. So I just would like to hear some assurances, I'm like a living wage, you know what I mean? Because the reality is, a lot of times when we do business with third-party vendors, they aren't paying a living wage, and this is a very vital role in any district. So I just want to make sure that you are a company who treats your employees well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say that Redford Union really, from, you know, the acquisition of SafeEd and the compensation for employees is, you know, currently above, you know, industry standard, which we appreciate, you know, because you're exactly right. You know, when we bring people in these roles, you know, our goal is to professionalize school security. It is a dynamic environment, and we need to have the right people. And we need to make sure that, you know, these are positions that are attractive and that will allow us to retain employees. You know, our philosophy is that relationships in these, you know, in these roles is critically important to the work that we do every day. The only way to really develop those positive relationships is to be able to attract and retain people in these positions, you know, and develop their skills. So I couldn't agree more.
Thank you. Are there any further questions? All right, hearing none. I think you are off the hot seat.
All right, thank you very much.
Very well.
Thank you very much.
All right, so we will move on to item C in our presentations. Student panel professional learning activity. Michael Taylor, principal of RU High School, and Carissa Peterson, principal of RU Junior High School. While they come down, I will say I heard from a teacher who was shopping in my store the day of this training. She said it is possibly the best PD she has had in a really long time. She really, really enjoyed this training, so kudos.
See how quick you handed me the mic. So at our last PD, obviously most of you are aware, we had a student panel up here on the stage. We did ours separately, the junior high and high school, and I can speak to our high school panel. We had, I believe, 11 students on ours. We tried to spread it out with as much diversity ranging from students with IEPs to gen ed students, male, females, ethnicity as well. So we had a good representation from our student body up here on the stage. And I think it was well received by our staff. I know it was. We had an opportunity to debrief afterwards. I wanted to know what our staff felt. So I made sure that we went around individually and everybody stood up and spoke about what they heard from the kids. And if there was something that we needed to change, what their solution was for that change. So it didn't surprise me what we heard. Our relationships are strong, kids feel safe, kids feel loved when they come to the high school. I can speak for Chris's school as well. We have understanding staff members here. Students feel that they have at least one person they can go to when there's some personal issues going on as well. If there was any negative feedback, it was more along the lines of kids don't like math, which is understandable at this age. So, and even from our support staff, there was a lot of positive feedback with relationship building, which is, and I think most of that was directed at our security staff here in the building, which is what you want out of your security staff. You don't want a prison type approach with your security. You want them to be approachable and respected by your students. So I was pleased. I would love to have some more. I told Mr. Witt that for next year. And I was also kicking around the idea with Mrs. Robertson about doing a staff panel in front of our student body, class by class, just so we could get a fair moderator to do that, and the kids could hear some positive feedback from our staff.
Thank you. Yeah, it was something I was overjoyed, definitely met and exceeded my expectations. Was concerned about the students, you know, our 7th through 9th graders getting up and having enough courage to share their honest feedback, and again, they did. they did it in a respectful manner. They were detailed, they were specific, and thoughtful. Definitely also did not want our staff to feel like they were being beat up on or attacked in any way, shape, or form. So we worked with there were two facilitators or moderators that came out from Wayne Risa. I think that helped us too, because they worked with the kids ahead of time, met with them ahead of time, prepped them, so that they knew what to expect. Because again, they were sitting right where you are, under the lights. They were like, "Can you turn?" They wanted all this dark. They didn't want to be able to see anyone up there. But worked with Wayne Risa as well to debrief, as Mr. Taylor said afterwards. Got our staff together and did an activity where I had them reflect individually just to kind of unwind a little bit. I had them write about what surprised them, what squared with them. So what were some things that they heard that they weren't super surprised about, but that kind of resonated with them, what questions they still had, and then what challenged them. What were some of those things that maybe right off the bat they felt defensive about or upset about? And then again, upon reflection and conversation, helped a little bit to come back together and look at things objectively. So after they reflected individually, got them with groups, and they discussed and reported out, and again, it was overwhelmingly positive. But I think the very best two things that happened was the buzz among the kids. They were like, "How do I get on the next student panel?" And just talking to the students that were on the panel, and they felt like celebrities in our school as well. And really what surprised me in a really positive way was how teachers took that experience and took the information from the students and are already applying it in their classrooms. So as we're going into classrooms, we're seeing, the students mention that they wanted to debate, they wanted to have conversation, they wanted to play games. And as I've gone in for our last round of walkthroughs and observations, I've seen jigsaws, games, debates, Socratic seminars. The Socratic seminar was actually about things that need to improve in our school community. So the teachers are kind of doing their own mini panels in their classrooms as well. So all really positive. I agree with Mr. Taylor. I think that's something that has a lot of value, maybe not annually, but I definitely see the value in doing that with different groups of students, just to always let our students know we hear them, and that we're going to make changes based on their feedback instead of us jumping to conclusions about what they want or how they feel. Really going to the source to see what it is that works best for them.
And I think it's important to note that these questions weren't always set up for success. There were some questions that you would think that the answer from the students would not be positive or reflect on us in a positive way, some schools in some cases, but I think I would say 95%, Mr. Witt was there as well, Ms. Crenshaw sitting in the back there, 95% of our answers were extremely positive, but there also had to be room for some critical thinking and some changes. The whole point of this was what the students need, what they experience at our schools, what changes need to be made for them and their experience as a student. So they weren't softballs being thrown at them in terms of questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Taylor or?
Yes, I have a question. So, as relates, did you get any feedback about ninth graders being associated with the middle school and the transition and things like that?
For the high school?
For the ninth graders.
Transitioning to high school? Yeah, so we have a link crew, a very impressive link crew that works extremely close with Ms. Peterson's ninth graders, as well as we have a ninth grade success coordinator as well, Ms. Jaramello. She works very well with Ms. LaBerne, who oversees our link crew, and they do an amazing job linking the kids all year long to smooth that transition, so they're not coming, a traditional school, usually when they do the transition, it's, a May celebration or a barbecue or something. That's the first time that they get to see the high school. So we've done tours, we've done activities. Our link crew's gone over to the other side and has been tutoring them throughout the school year, building relationships with them. So they have faces to names, and when they get here in the fall as sophomores, they're going to know who we are.
Thank you.
Are there any further questions? All right. Thank you. Student Representative Communication, Ms. Jeswick.
Hello. So tomorrow, May 14th, 2024, is Student Council's last blood drive for the year. And as previously mentioned, Lean Crew last week on May 7th, 2024, spent the whole day touring groups of 9th graders to get them associated with the high school side. National Honor Society last week worked along with the student body to make thank you cards for staff members. And today, May 13th, 2024, 25 students are currently at Stadium Point to celebrate all their attendance and finishing the SAT prep, so we wish them a safe travel home. Testing, AP testing has started and will continue throughout the month alongside NWEA testing for English. This last Saturday, the girls' flag football played downtown at the Ford Field, and they were victorious against Renaissance High School with a score of 31-12. There were 3 players who got offered to play flag football at Siena Heights, so I would like to congratulate Jacoby Cohen, Cameron Sherry, and India Oliver. Tomorrow, May 14th, 2024, the girls and boys varsity will go against our rival Thurston. And finally, the seniors, we're coming down on the seniors' the last few days of school. I believe that's only 9 days left. So prom is this Friday, May 17th, 2024, and graduation is on May 29th, 2024 at the USA Hockey Arena in Plymouth, Michigan at 7 p.m. Is there any questions? Thank you.
Amazing, good job. All right. We will move on. Superintendent's Communications, Mr. Witt.
Good evening, our staff members of the month for May 2024. At Keeler, we have in the administration wing, we have Amanda Marable, Human Resources Coordinator. At Beck, we have Regina Bazin, Administrative Assistant. At Beach Elementary School, we have Ellen Dunage, Spanish teacher. At Hilbert Elementary School, and I see him there hiding out in the back row, Mr. Bill Putnam, PE teacher. Keeler Day Treatment Program, Renee Kraus, Behavior Specialist Coordinator. She's got a fan club out there. There you go. Redford Union Junior High School, we have Phil Viveris, one of our ASD teachers. At Redford Union High School, we have Morgan Snyder, one of our educational assistants, and that was by virtue of, and Jackie only, all she does is press click and it spins a little wheel. But Kelly Carlton, who had won previously this year's name came up, and she was gracious enough to pass that honor for this month and that parking spot to Morgan Snyder, the educational assistant. So kudos to both those ladies. And that is it for our staff members of the month for May 2024. Next, we have our board brag book, and this information will again be posted online and posted on our district Facebook for all to find. But we start out with Beach Elementary School, solar eclipse viewing, yearbook club planning, SEL activities, and the youngest student getting some work done while spending time in the principal's office.
It's a little person.
So we have a nice photo there.
It's a little toddler.
I know, I can't believe you used my kid's picture.
They didn't ask you to sign a waiver, did they? Staff celebrated Autism Awareness Month with students as they socialized. Families joined us for after-school concerts, and students in the ASD program made flower bouquets for their favorite principal, Mrs. Nickel.
How sweet. Everybody knows.
Beats also celebrated the start of state testing by hosting M-Step Pep Assembly, and the students in the grade levels that did not test cheered on the 3rd through 6th grade students as they made their way down to the gym for a pep talk before testing.
I love it.
Next, moving on to Hilbert Elementary School, courtyard beautification project. The first grade classes have been adding to the memorial garden in the courtyard with the help of Mrs. Ottenbacher. So moving on then to also at Hilbert, our 6th grade students, our future 7th graders, had the opportunity to visit Redford Union Junior High School, where they had the opportunity to enjoy a presentation from Assistant Principal Katie Sims, and the student leaders at Redford Union Junior High also took our 6th graders on a tour so they could visit classrooms, try band instruments, and even get some advice from current junior high students. They also had a chance to meet the junior high staff, and they had the opportunity to ask some questions at the end, and of course, as everybody likes to do, have an opportunity to take home some prizes. And we're looking forward to welcoming here at this campus in the fall. There's some photos there. Also at Hilbert, spring is in the air. The students were able to witness the hatching of 22 baby chicks. And they are learning about life cycles, and our little scientists check on their progress daily. Also at Hilbert Elementary School, congratulations to Miss Panto Ramirez and Miss Borg for winning $300 for their classroom makeover from MEMIC. And in particular, the Shepherd Agency, our local office, and we appreciate their commitment to our students, as well as those staff members who pursued additional grant dollars to use within their classroom spaces. Hilbert Elementary School also did some activities around the solar eclipse, and they were supplied by the district with glasses so that our students could safely observe that. I think it's like every 22-year event. Next up, at Redford Union Junior High School, they wanted to highlight the fact that their students at the junior high also had an opportunity to participate in both our high school's college and career fair, and also Backpacks to Briefcases College and Career Fair, which is put on by Wayne Risa. So there are some photos there of those events. The Backpack and Briefcases, I believe, was held at Madonna University, and there's some photos there from that visit. Also, at the junior high school, on May 2nd, they held their first annual Step Up Day, similar to what we just described with this. It is the same event, actually, that the 6th grade students got to visit. So both the junior high and Hilbert wanted to highlight that opportunity that their students had. But in addition to that, in a similar manner, on May 7th, the 9th graders also had structured tours of the high school. It's amazing to believe that our renovations are like working, because I was told that the 9th graders were so excited that they got to go to the other side of the building. So they walk in that front door every day, and it really is well done by all staff members in this building to keep our students focused in the areas they're supposed to be focused on, to the extent they get really excited when they get to visit just on the other side of the door. So there's some photos there from Step Up Day. And also, I also wanted to highlight that two things, and I told our head football coach this earlier, last week actually when I ran into him. So I think it's important to highlight not only that we have a girls flag football team, but we're one of 24 schools in the state that have a flag football team that participates in this league that's sponsored by the Detroit Lions. It's also an initiative, I know, of the NFL by and large. But we are now one of 24 teams that's included in that league. I told Coach Eiler that I did wonder why our girls, it only took them 2 weeks to make it to Ford Field to play a football game. But even more impressive, the girls tied the first week in their first ever competition with limited practice. And then, as was stated earlier, they defeated Detroit Renaissance this past weekend, 31-12 at Ford Field. And there is one more home game under the lights this Saturday at 8:30 p.m. There's a game that starts between two other opponents at 7 o'clock, also on our field. And then at 8:30 p.m., our girls will play their final flag football game of this abbreviated season. The league is already looking to expand the number of games for teams next year within this league, as well as expand the number of teams overall. But kudos to all the people involved with getting those young ladies ready to play and giving them this opportunity. And I do believe that actually Coach Eiler, while I gave him a hard time, is giving some of his time as well to help coach these girls along with the other coaches involved. So kudos to all of the individuals involved with that. Also at Redford Union High School, congratulations go out to Christian Mitchell, a senior artist, for being featured in April's edition of Shout Out Michigan for his passion, skills, and love of art. And there's some photos there on the next page of Christian Mitchell and some of his artworks. So kudos to him and his accomplishments. We also send out congratulations to a former Redford Union High School football player, Jeremy Flax, who signed as an undrafted free agent with the Minnesota Vikings recently. And we wish him best of luck as he looks to make the move to the National Football League. Next up, we had 13 Redford Union High School early college and career students who were inducted in Phi Theta Kappa International Honor Society through Wayne County Community College. And even more importantly, in recognition of the success of this program that continues to go strong, in May at our commencement ceremony, we will see our 4th cohort walk across the stage that will receive their associate degrees. So kudos to all that goes into that early college program. And that, again, will be recognized in our upcoming commencement ceremony on May 29th. And next up, in the alumni category, we'd like to give congratulations to Redford Union High School graduate Jennifer Mansfield, class of '94, for earning and becoming Chief of Police for our own Redford Township Police Department. So congratulations to Jennifer, and I know there's an item where the board is going to share in that recognition of Miss Manfield and her move to the Chief of Police position. Highlighting again the College and Careers Fair that took place this year at McGowan across the street. We still had 40 participants as far as organizations and businesses that were on hand for our students to engage with in a variety of career fields, as is included there. And then there's photos there of that event. Congratulations here at Redford Union High School to our junior high and high school choir director for his winning of the MEMIC Shepherd Classroom Makeover Grants for Mr. Rosser. So congratulations to Blake Rosser on that honor and recognition. And then we also wanted to highlight, and these are like a lot of great things going on, but in our Veritas Alternative Education Program, kudos go out to Victor Foreman, who's a senior, and Like many of our alternative education program students over there at Veritas, they have some ground to make up with their grades. But kudos to Victor for starting our program last year. He's completed already 6 credit recovery courses that got him back on track not only to graduate, but he's also found himself academically eligible to participate in track and field, and he's taking part in our track and field season this spring. So kudos go out to Victor for all his hard work. And there's some picture there of Victor, as well as Victor competing alongside his track teammates for Redford Union High School. So kudos to that and all the staff over there at Veritas that make that happen. And then Staff Appreciation Week is highlighted this month for the Keeler Day Treatment Program. This past week, they, on Monday, enjoyed some sporadic moments of relaxation. They also, on Tuesday, had a morning pastries and a beverage. On Wednesday, the staff made and enjoyed whatever floats your boat, ice cream sundaes or ice cream floats. And then the staff there at our day treatment program enjoyed a catered hot breakfast on Thursday. That's one of the many things that's gone on within our buildings this week previous to this one, as it was Teacher Appreciation Week. We also at Keeler Day Treatment on May 9th, they observed Mental Health Month and had an SEL Day for students and staff. And then in our athletic category, we already highlighted our flag football team a couple times. There is that game coming up. In addition to that, our students, along with students from Thurston High School, both on the baseball and softball teams on May 1st, had an opportunity to give back by participating in the Hope at Bat Cancer Awareness Fundraiser. They had the opportunity for both games to be played under the lights at Handy Park. And current student Robin Atkins threw out the first pitch for baseball, and former student Ashley McVeigh threw out the first pitch for softball. And the event raised $800 for that Hope at Bat Cancer Awareness Fundraiser. So kudos to all who came out, and kudos to those who participated in that. And then through the coordination of Mr. Lesmeister, our athletics coordinator, we were also able to recently host a free physical night, which is important for our families and student athletes on May 9th. And that completes the highlights. Outside of later this month, of course, we hope everyone will enjoy a wonderful Memorial Day holiday.
We've been busy. And we love Jeremy, even though he has played for the Vikings, right? We can love him anyway.
And also in your packets, and this will also be posted online, is our calendar of events. So you guys have up here on the board have been provided a hard copy of those events. Lots of end of the year closing out activities. Again, that highlight being our upcoming commencement ceremony on May 29th. And that information will also be posted online.
All right, thank you, Mr. Witt. Moving on, communications received by the board secretary, Mrs. Dean.
Nothing really, just that there are a few educational opportunities through Wayne Reason that I'll be forwarding to you guys.
Thank you.
Awesome. Chief Financial Officer's communications, Mr. Belchink.
So as Mr. Witt mentioned, we're coming up on the end of the school year, a lot of things going on. So this is kind of busy season for the business office. So we're starting to prep for the final year-end budget to be presented at the June meeting. And once that is done, that will roll into the budget for the next year, and so we'll roll that out at the same time. Working on tying up loose ends, looking towards the end of the ESSER program, the ESSER 3 program, which wraps up September 30th. We're hoping to get that bumped up before June 30th, so it doesn't drag into the next school year. And that would give the state another opportunity to audit another year of it. So, other than than that, then we will begin prepping for the year-end 23-24 school year audit that will commence starting this summer. And it'll be Brandon's second year performing that for us. And that's it.
Thank you. All right, moving on. Executive Director of Human Resources and Labor Relations Communications, Mrs. Nachman.
I just have a couple things. We continue negotiations with the RUEA, and I think they've been ongoing for about 6 weeks now, and we will begin negotiations with our educational assistants on Monday. And other than that, kudos to our principals who have already secured teachers for next year. So we have successfully interviewed and onboarded candidates for next year. So we are moving right along. So all good things.
Good job.
So we're full?
For the fall.
Good, thank you.
All right. Executive Director of Curriculum and Technology Communications, Mrs. Crenshaw.
Good. So later tonight you have some action items to approve a couple of technology purchases for the secondary campus. I have a couple of videos that I linked in there. I can share them with you tonight if you'd like to see them, if you haven't had a chance. They're real quick, short ones. Hopefully this is it, because hold on a second. Let me reopen it, because it's gone.
I watched that video of that science table. That is so super cool.
Yeah.
Like the little geeky technarch nerd in me loved it.
Well, hopefully the kids will enjoy it. This is a science too. So there we go. Not sure how much volume this is going to be. It's not going to have sound today. So the table is, it's like a life-size table. They can do science experiments. They can do, they use them in a lot of medical schools right now to do actual, what's the word I'm looking for? It's my brain stopped working about 2 hours ago. Dissections, yes, that's the word, of different animals and whatnot. They can also do physics experiments. Some of those things were there in that video. I feel like I had a different video as well that maybe was linked. I don't know if that was the right one or not, but we're excited about that for the high school. So click into your link because I feel like there was a better video.
The video is really good.
Yeah, because it showed actual things. I didn't pull that one up. I thought that was the right one. Sorry about that. And then the other one is VR goggles that will be used for our career tech programs. So these goggles will allow students to kind of be in the actual job field that they're looking at and kind of maneuvering with the virtual reality glasses. So this is
Transfer brings the future of training to your organization with hands-on simulations that equip learners with essential skills they'll need to enter a new career. Trainees move at their own pace through the hands-on simulations, where they gain valuable experience and can make mistakes in a safe environment.
Got it.
During instruction, our digital coach gives learners real-time feedback to help them develop skills and confidence.
That's right. That was a good attempt.
Learners demonstrate their mastery of basic skills through hands-on practice,
Thanks.
building a comprehensive foundation of the knowledge they'll need on the job. Transfer's curriculum is developed with industry experts to create authentic experiences that introduce learners to safe working procedures and the tools they'll use to prepare them for real-world jobs.
All right. Now we're going to use this winch to haul up the train.
At Transfer, our trainer Simon conveys the working knowledge from real human experts.
Welcome to the fuel station. Well, larger aircraft.
Training progress data is tracked along every step of their training journey and is available for instructor review. When a trainee masters a simulation, they're ready to demonstrate those skills with an instructor on the job in the real world. Transfer enriches traditional training programs, allowing trainees to learn wherever it makes sense, without expensive industry equipment or facilities. Transfer's hands-on simulations combined with traditional training are a powerful combination to help learners along their pathway to prosperity and into well-paying jobs that are the future of every industry.
So that's just a little snippet of what the virtual reality goggles will do. Both of these items will be paid for out of Title I funds, so they've been approved by the state through our Title I consultant. So I think we're excited to have those. They'll be on the secondary campus. The table will be purchased for the high school, but there will be access for both sides. And then the VR goggles will be, we have 4, I think, for the junior high and 2 for the high school. But again, they can be used together. So we're excited about them. Does anyone have any questions about those?
To the chair.
Yeah.
Ms. Crenshaw, I'd like to, when we get this equipment, I'd like to experience it.
Okay.
Is that all right?
We'll have to set up time in the high school. Yeah.
Especially their concept of doing a physics experiment. I'd
Yep.
like to see that too.
Yep, it should be interesting. Yep.
Yeah, I thought that table was really cool.
Yeah,
And
sorry, I
was like,
apologize, I was
No,
not
that's
right
okay.
behind you.
I was like, ooh, when they talked about the fruit fly, I remember I had like flashbacks to my high school days when we did the fruit fly breeding thing.
Yeah.
And having to count how many of them had one wing. And Mrs. Martin.
As it relates to the VR goggles or glasses or, so the things that they will be learning, it said that it's mirrored to also practice it in the, and you know, reality, the world.
Yeah.
And so like, do we know what type of programming we're gonna be providing them to go along with what they're learning virtually?
So part of our career tech program, Laditra Lindsay Taylor is still working on getting all of those certified, so I think she'll probably have another presentation, I would imagine, in the next couple months here to let you guys know, but we'll definitely be kind of using them towards those career tech classes that we're developing. And then this will also be used in kind of an introductory career tech type of course where kids can go in, because you know, I would never know what it was like to be behind an airplane as a 7th or 8th grader, so to be able to go in and kind of see that, is that something that I think maybe I could handle? You know, give them just that little snippet of practice and try it out, and so we'll get it so that all the kids will have some sort of use with it, but we'll try to use it more too with those career tech classes as well. But I don't have a list of what the career tech courses are that we're offering just yet. I know she's working on getting that all kind of taken care of with the state.
Okay.
To the chair.
Mr. Bailey?
So Ms. Crenshaw, there's a list somewhere of available courses though, right?
I don't know if there's a list out yet for what we're offering in the district.
I'm not interested in what we're offering. These must be courses that are canned, right? We're not
Yes.
gonna make them.
Correct, right, yeah, they come with the goggles.
So is there a list somewhere?
I would imagine we'll get one when we get the goggles, yeah.
Is there any chance?
We can share
I
that,
could
yeah.
have a list, please?
We'll share that. Yep,
Thank you.
that's all I have.
Thank you, Mrs. Hunter. All right, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda items as amended, or presented, sorry? Moved by Mr. Osowski, is there support? Support. Seconded by Mrs. Martin. Is there any discussion? This always makes me sad when I start to see resignations due to retirements. Retirements, no, you cannot retire. If any of y'all are in here, you cannot retire. Sorry. Anyway, all right, hearing none, all in favor say yes. Yes. Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Everybody doing okay out there? Okay. All right, moving on. Action items, special consideration, non-consent agenda items. Item number 1, a resolution of congratulations to Jennifer Mansfield. Can I get a motion? And I wrote a resolution. I don't know. Oh, here it is. I will read it. Whereas Jennifer Mansfield is a distinguished graduate of Redford Union High School, and whereas Jennifer has proven over and over again her dedication to the Redford Township community through countless efforts and organizations. And whereas Jennifer has more than 20 years of law enforcement experience, and whereas Jennifer is breaking down barriers and obstacles for women everywhere by becoming the first woman to become Redford Township Chief of Police, now therefore be it resolved that in view of her continued dedication to the people of Redford Township, the Redford Union School Board extend congratulations and gratitude to Jennifer Mansfield on her promotion to Chief of Police of the Redford Township Police Department. Can I get a motion that the Board of Education, thank you, Mr. Bailey, seconded by Mr. Ostowski. Is there any discussion? I will say I read a statistic. It's like only 8.3% of the police chiefs in this country are women. So she truly is breaking down barriers for young women that choose to law enforcement. This requires a roll call vote. Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mrs. Dean?
Yes.
Mrs. Martin?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Osowski? The chair votes yes. Congratulations. We're proud to call her an alum and our chief.
To the chair.
Mr. Bailey?
Use your microphone, please.
I'm not sure how we're going to, got it.
He's working on it. Give us a second.
I'm not sure how we're gonna present this. Would it be possible if we were to invite her to come, or it could be presented to her?
Absolutely. I would love to do that. Maybe Jackie could do a little, like, certificate or something. I just like voluntold flowers, yeah, I'm sure that I just like maybe, yeah, I would love to invite her and so that we can, congratulate her. That's a very good idea, Mr. Bailey, thank you. All right, moving on, number 2, 2021 Capital Bond Project, Field of Wow, Hilbert Elementary. Can I get a motion that the Board of Education, at the recommendation of Michael Belting, Chief Financial Officer, and Jason Witt, Superintendent, and the Redford Union Schools Bond Team, approve the 2021 Bond Project Field of Wow at Hilbert Elementary as presented. Award recommendation summary. Hard construction total, $778,087. Work category 2, earthwork, $659,000. Work category 10, concrete, $119,087. General requirements, $46,000. General liability insurance, $6,181. CM contingency, 3%, $23,343. CM fee, 2.25%, $19,206. Bond amount, 0.78%, $6,658. Total bid pack 11 award recommendation amount, $879,475.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Bailey. Is there support? We can't have discussion without a second. Thank you, Mr. Osowski. Is there any discussion? All right,
Yes, to the chair.
Mr. Bailey.
So, since we're making this effort and it's almost $1 million, I'd like to encourage the possibility of going out into the community and asking other groups that may see a positive opportunity for using this also, so that it's a group effort and even possibly more can be accomplished with just this one opportunity. More things can be presented to a group that usually gets the short end of the stick.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey. Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, I would just like to say this is a lot, money. And it's like, is it gonna be actually heavily used? That's my concern.
I will say, I'm a little uncomfortable with I was coming into this uncomfortable with $879,000. However, it is the last thing that we promised our constituents that we would try to deliver. My my initial holdback was we're gonna spend almost $1 million on a field of WOW and not have baseball diamonds for our own players. But now we have seen that there is a plan for that, which makes me a little more agreeable to this, because I certainly don't want to leave anybody out, right? I love the idea of an inclusive, ADA compliant baseball diamond. Baseball is one of my favorite sports. I'm a huge baseball fan. If you know me, I'm a huge St. Louis Cardinals fan because I'm from St. Louis. So to be able to offer that opportunity is great, and I'm feeling much better about it now than I was going into it, because when we first were presented this, we didn't know that we had extra that we could potentially use for baseball diamonds for our own players. So that's just my part on it. Is there any further discussion? All right. Roll call vote, Mr. Bailey.
Yes.
Mrs. Jean?
Yes.
Mrs. Martin?
Yes.
Ms. Miller? Say vote your heart. Mr. Osowski?
I'm going to abstain.
Mr. Osowski abstains. The chair votes yes. Motion will carry 5-0. Item number 3, unlimited schools of choice for 2024-2025. Can I get a motion that the Board of Education hereby authorizes the Superintendent Jason Witt or his designees the authority to enroll an unlimited number of students for the 2024-2025 school year, with such students being only those students who are eligible for grades 1 through 9 pursuant to both Section 105 and Section 105C of the State Aid Act and in accordance with all other relevant statutory provisions. Moved by Mr. Osowski. Is there a second? Seconded by Ms. Miller. Is there any discussion? Just for the record, we've already done we've opened school of choice for kindergarten already because we didn't want to be late with kindergarten roundup. All right, is there any discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mrs. Jean?
Yes.
Mrs. Martin?
Yes.
Ms. Miller? Mr. Osowski?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion carries. Atomic science table purchase. Did I say that right? I don't know. Anyway, the cool science table. Can I get a motion that the Board of Education, at the recommendation of Kim Crenshaw, Executive Director of Curriculum and Technology, Jason Witt, Superintendent, and Mike Taylor, Redford Union High School Principal, purchase the anatomic science table? The cost of the table will not exceed $117,000 and will be paid for with the 2023-2024 Title I money as provided in the district's consolidated application.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Bailey, seconded by Mr. Osowski. Thank you. Is there any further discussion?
Yes. I got a question. Is there any type of software that can be used on our, on the computers that we currently have for, like in our computer lab, like a software program that can be downloaded and used similar to this?
I think there's, sorry. I believe there's some actual software that goes along with the table that can be installed, but we also, we're working on updating our computer labs for next year. I don't know that any of our computers right this minute are really great to run software like that, but I believe that I saw that there was some other software that can accompany this table.
And are those computers touchscreen?
They are not. Not yet. Well, we don't have them yet. We're setting up some new computers, but no. But touchscreens are expensive to replace.
Oh,
So.
All right. Is there any further discussion? All right. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mrs.
I'm sorry. So, like, as it relates to this table, where would this table actually be at, and how will it be used?
This table will be housed in one of the science labs. So even now within our science labs, through this renovation process, the goal is to have a certain amount of science classroom spaces, and then science classes will actually share the lab amongst the different classes. So this table will be housed in one of those labs, and all of the science teachers, as well as some teachers in some other subject areas, because it has some capabilities beyond the sciences, will have access to the table. We'll be presented with opportunities for training on how to utilize the table and everything else.
Thank you.
You good? All right. Roll call, Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mrs. Dean?
Yes.
Mrs. Martin?
Abstain.
Are you good, Jackie? Okay. Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Osowski?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Motion carries 5-0. Yeah, I know. If they can dissect without that awful smell. Transfer VR goggles purchase. Can I get a motion that the Board of Education, at the recommendation of Kim Crenshaw, Executive Director of Curriculum and Technology, Jason Witt, Superintendent, Carissa Peterson, Redford Union Junior High School, and Principal Mike Taylor, Redford Union High School, purchase 6 VR goggles to be used for career exploration. 4 will be purchased for the junior high school at a cost of $20,800, and 2 will be purchased for the high school at a cost of $10,400. These VR goggles will be paid for with 2023-2024 Title I money as approved in the district's consolidated application.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Bailey, seconded by Ms. Miller. Is there any discussion? All right, hearing none. Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mrs. Dean?
Yes.
Mrs. Martin?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Osowski?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion carries. Technology has come a long way. All right, moving along. All right, item number 6. Cooperative Education Program Agreement 2024-2025 Career Technical Education, Livonia Public Schools. Can I get a motion that the Board of Education, at the recommendation of Jason Witt, Superintendent, approve the Cooperative Education Program Agreement for the 2024-2025 Career Technical Education between Redford Union Schools and Livonia Public Schools?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Bailey, seconded by Ms. Martin.
No.
Miller, I'm sorry. I heard it and then I said it right. Thank you. Is there any discussion?
Yes.
Mrs. Martin.
Can you tell me, what are the criteria for the students that's gonna be attending? Just when I was going through the agreement, it talked about, that we're gonna be selecting the students to go over.
I would have to defer to Mr. Taylor as far as the selection of the students for this particular program. The question relates to students who are selected. I know we're working to build, and next year we're taking big steps towards building our own CTE programming, but the question relates to how students are identified for participation in, and I know we only have a few students who do, through this relationship with Livonia.
So we don't identify and they come to us with a need for this program or the interest for this program. Currently, we do not provide the programming that the Career Tech Center of Livonia does, however, we will. So when we're up and running in 2 years, I don't expect we're going to send anybody to another district.
So what's the plan on how we're gonna be selecting the students?
So it seems like student interest is the driver. So students who are looking for a program that is career tech focused, that Livonia provides, that we don't currently provide. And if we can accommodate those students, then we work to accommodate them.
So that conversation is usually had with our counselor. We're working with our career counselor, Mr. Farrell from Wayne Risa. So typically we'll have one student there. Where in the past we've sent upwards of 30 to 40 students over the William D. Ford Tech Center. That has since been removed because of various reasons. But so next year I don't anticipate anybody, with the exception of one student in particular, that will be going over there. And then once we get into our second year of our CTE programming, I don't think any of our students will be going over there, with the exception of perhaps maybe public safety at that time.
So can you give me an estimate of how many high school students with IEPs are on high school diploma track?
Our students that are currently part of that?
Yeah. No,
So that would vary from year to year. So they have the opportunity to go over there if need be. Again, we have one student over there right now, and it's a gen ed student because it just happens to be a gen ed student. But if a student with an IEP goes to their counselor, we transition them over there for those classes. So there's no restrictions if you have an IEP or not.
So it states like in the contract that we'll be providing those accommodations for students with IEPs to go over there. So like if a student needed adult support and they was interested in the particular career tech that they offer, will we have staff available to do that?
So they will be responsible for that.
It states in who state?
Livonia schools.
It states that in the contract they said Redford Union.
Well, that's unbeknownst to me.
I think we should see and look at that because that's what it stated. So, that's
So currently at our high school, our parapros are for our ASD programs. So right now, we don't have any of our ASD students going over there. We have one CI student who is not going over there. So I guess if that's the case, then that's something that Mr. Witt and Mrs. Diller are gonna have to have a conversation with Livonia Public Schools about. But that situation has never come up where, let's say, a student over there with a one-on-one aid. My guess would be that if we had a student here going over there for 3 hours or 2 hours, that aide would have to follow them over there. So that would have to be, probably have a conversation with the paraprofessional unit about that, making sure those accommodations are met. So I'm not aware of that because we've never had a student go over there that's had a one-on-one.
So I know we currently have one student, but we never know if the interest will increase. And so, like, how will the parents and students be notified of this program, of this partnership?
Well, currently, we're not going to be advertising it. It's mentioned if students are interested in career tech education. We have a career counselor on hand, and through conversations with Mr. Farrell or their counselor, Ms. Capaldi, if we feel like they qualify. And again, part of that is academics, right? We're not going to send students over there, juniors and seniors, who are, half a high school career behind on credits. So. We're not going to be advertising that, seeing as how we're going to be starting our own career tech education program here at Redford Union High School.
So we're not advertising it,
Correct.
But yet at the same time it is an option. So
If you're my career counselor or my counselor, I come to you and say, hey, I'm really interested in welding, I'm really interested in health sciences. You guys don't have it here. So Ms. Capaldi or Ms. Farrell will say, well, we have an option for you at the Livonia Career Tech Center. So I don't put flyers out, I don't tell parents, hey, if you're interested in this right now, where years past we would have advertised for William D. Ford. I'm not gonna do that because we're gonna be losing that funding over to Livonia.
I saw that too.
So
I saw that too.
that money needs to stay here.
So, like, I hear you say that if a child or student is behind in credits, as it relates to those credits, they can actually use some of these particular CTEs to recover those credits. Or to help under through the use of personal curriculum and things like that. So it's like, so help me understand. You said if a student is behind in credits, right? But a particular course that they're taking for CTE can help with those credits.
Sure. So that'll replace a foreign language or visual arts program credits. So if I'm a junior and I failed my 9th grade and my 10th grade year of math or English, social studies, or science, and I'm 6-7 credits behind, and mainly due to my core credit loss, we're not going to send a student over there because they have to get these required credits to graduate to begin with. So when they're talking about replacing credits, that's a foreign language and visual arts. It's not the core classes.
But when you think about, like, for instance, when you think about math, right, and how you can use a CTE for a math course,
Not for all 4 years.
but not for all 4 years.
Yeah,
but it
you
can-
still have to follow requirements.
But it can be used. So like, if,
So I could use it as a math elective perhaps, but not to replace one of the core math requirements.
Chair.
wait, I'm sorry, if you wanna go ahead, Bailey, you can go ahead,
Okay,
I'm sorry.
Mr. Bailey?
So I had difficulty hearing you, so let me recap here. We have one individual within this program right now?
Correct. We have one, on average, the last 3 years, we've had one person, one student, not the same person, but one student going over to the Livonia Career Tech Center.
And what do they get when they come out?
Over there, depending on what program there is, very few of the programs are actually a state certified license. Many of them are just a completion, great job from the school board signed certificate.
So it doesn't prepare them for a career?
It trains them, but it will not give them a certified license leaving here. So, like, for example, with our auto program, when we do a career tech program here, our kids will be NATEP and ASE certified. They'll have a state license if they complete the program. They don't have that over at the Livonia Career Tech Center.
Also, we send some of our day treatment students also to the Career Tech Center to get some life skills out there.
So you said you're currently right now to Livonia?
Yes, I believe. Dr. Lindsay.
Dr. Lindsay said.
How many do you have there right now, Dr. Lindsay?
We have one, but we have them yearly. Sometimes we have two, just depends on the number, because we also do good before as well. But we never send a year. It's not a requirement for us. And they provide all the accommodations that the students need.
I think that we definitely, because like, let's say for instance, because how that agreement is written right now, I think that if they're providing those accommodations, that's great that they're doing that, but that's almost like a courtesy, because as it's written right now, where they're saying that Redford Union is responsible. So like, so hopefully, you know, for this upcoming school year, you know what I'm saying, they also continue to give us that
And
courtesy.
again, I guess the language, and I haven't seen the language, I'm assuming that language is probably written for what I just described. If they have a one-on-one currently with them through 4 hours at Redford Union High School, then they assume that 8, or they're gonna require that parapro to go over to the tech center with them. But that's never happened here, to my knowledge, at the high school in 23 years.
And is it possible if, like the board can go and look at their facilities that our students possibly may be going over, because we're sending them to an environment that I never even seen.
I'm sure if you call them, yeah, it's a very reputable program. It's not as big as William B. Ford, but it's very reputable.
And when do you think our particular CTE program will be up and running?
We're starting the introductions to our CT programs and our scheduling for next year, and then we will be having 3 up and running the following school year, and we will also be adding 2 more intro classes for the following year. So in 3 years, we should have 5 up and running.
He said 3?
For 2 years from now, our intro classes will start. We have to have an intro period. That will be next school year. The 3 will actually be career tech classes the following school year. During the same school year, we'll have 2 additional intro classes for other programming. So in 3 years, we will have 5 up and running CT programs here.
They will kind of be similar to where they're just really getting exposed and getting some.
There's a whole more. It's not just the classes, it's not just the curriculum. They'll be getting field experience. They'll have the professionals come in, and this is where these goggles are important for them to decide before they get into an area where they get halfway through and decide they don't want to do it anymore.
And that's it, that's all. Thank you.
Is there any further?
Yes, to the chair.
Mr. Bailey?
So, I'm not completely sold on this after your presentation. These kids participate in this, and it sounds.
Use your microphone, Mr. Bailey, please.
It sounds like they're coming up short.
Okay, to be fair to Mr. Taylor, it was not a planned presentation. This is a renewal of an agreement that long preceded me being in this chair. And it's a continuation of a year-to-year agreement that we've had for a long time with Livonia schools, because until recently, we weren't working towards offering CTE programming for ourselves. So because this request really boils down to one thing. Our programs aren't fully ready to go yet because there's a long approval process with the state in order to be able to offer CTE programming. We're building the foundation for that. That's been ongoing throughout the year. We have more renovations going on over the summer that are gonna afford us additional space for CTE programming. So that effort is well underway, but we also have at least one student who's currently in a program by way of this agreement that's been in place for a long time. And this is simply a request to renew that agreement.
So the chair.
Mr. Bailey?
So Mr. Wood, I understand that. I've been here renewing this. And from what I'm hearing, I'm not overly impressed. So Mr. Taylor, what would be the chances of my being able to visit this location?
I mean, I don't work for Livonia Public Schools, so you're gonna have to contact them.
So,
We can facilitate and try to create opportunities for people who have an interest, but that is gonna have to be coordinated in partnership with Livonia Schools.
So do you want me to go through you, or do you want me to contact them directly?
I absolutely would prefer that you not contact schools directly, and that you allow me and my staff the opportunity to do so. And in fact, I'll be revisiting that topic later on the agenda tonight.
and I will speak to that. No board member at this table has the right, according to our bylaws, to act on their own. And therefore, if you want to go and view this program, you need to follow the board policy and the board bylaws and respect this district leadership and coordinate that through Mr. Witt and his office in Livonia Public Schools. And if I hear that you step outside of those guidelines, we will be having a much different conversation at this board table. Thank you. I also want to say, I know some of you aren't comfortable with this, but it is not fair to the one student if we choose not to pass this agreement. Thank you. Is there any further discussion?
Yes, one question.
Mrs. Martin.
I think that for me, well, especially, I think that I'm trying to see how we can get more students involved versus just that one student. That's where I'm coming from. So I wanted to know how much do we pay for FTE to go to Livonia? How much are we paying?
Half of our FTE.
And what's half? I'm sorry.
What's our current fee?
Like $9,200 roughly. You're over that.
And I would echo.
That 9,200 is the full FTE.
So it's half of that.
Yeah. While we want them to have these opportunities, we also don't want, knowing that we're building the program, we probably don't want to not have it, we probably don't want to start sending large numbers of students to Livonia, because then, even though we build the program, that once they're there, it wouldn't be fair to bring them back, even if we bring a subject matter that Livonia teaches, because then we're disrupting kids. So now we're letting kids go for multiple years when we could be keeping them in our district and keeping all of that $9,000. And yet I do believe in CTE, I believe firmly in CTE. But I think we need to be careful about how much we promote CTE in another district.
I do agree to that. And I also would add, though, it's like, coming back to CTE. For instance, it's like, I feel like I know we're not promoting it, but at the same time, we don't have a program. And it's like a lot of times when when a school district does not have a particular program, they do go out and they do, sign, like, have an agreement such as Livonia with this. And once a program is established, then at that point, students we can say, well, you know what, we're no longer doing this part no more. So even though it may seem like it may be an interruption, but at the same time, if you're going for a new school year, the next starting school year, then at that point, we're bringing those students back and we're saying, hey, look, we now have programs that's comparable, and we're now, there's no need to pay for, to send our students to a different district, because we now have them, so.
Thank you. All right. Any further discussion? All right, because we could debate this back and forth for a while. We're gonna go to a roll call. Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mrs. Dean?
Yes.
Mrs. Martin?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Osowski?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Motion carries. All right. Regional Education Services Agency, otherwise known as Wayne Reesland, 2024-2025 General Fund Operating Budget Resolution. Can I get a motion that the Board of Education adopt a resolution supporting the proposed Wayne Regional Education Services Agency 2024-2025 General Fund Operating Budget?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Bailey, seconded by Mr. Osowski. Is there any discussion?
Yes, is that those ones, I'm sorry. Is that the report that they're sending over asking us to like attend one of those meetings? Is that their budget report that we're talking about right here?
Yeah, they did send like some virtual opportunities to hear their presentations on their budget. And then I believe we provided the budget. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call. Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mrs. Dean? Yes. Mrs. Martin?
Yes.
Ms. Miller? Mr. Osowski?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Motion carries. Item number 8. March 11th, 2024, regular meetings of the Redford Union School District. Can I get a motion that the Board of Education approve the March 11th, 2024 regular meeting minutes of the Redford Union School Board of Education, as amended during the discussion at the May 13th, 2024 regular board meeting. This motion seeks formal approval of the modifications discussed and agreed upon during the May 13th, 2024 meeting, ensuring that the official record reflects the deliberations and decisions of the board. So we need a motion before we can discuss. And I have Mr. Bailey.
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. Martin. All right, so here's the discussion. This is where, Mr. Bailey has an issue with the March 11th meeting minutes because my comments are, technically they are my opinion. My comments stating that his conduct and his comments regarding women are sexist and archaic. And yes, technically that is my opinion, and Robert's Rules does discourage you from putting opinion in your meeting minutes. Having said that, yes, we follow Robert's Rules very loosely, because if I strictly followed Robert's Rules, no one at this table would speak without my permission, without addressing me first. If we want to go to that kind of board meeting, I'm fully prepared to do that. I am not, however, prepared to have my comments, which are directly related to the opinion of the board, and protect us from any potential litigation, stricken from the record. That's where I feel I'm also prepared to, if it is the will of this board, have my comments removed from the record, handle the situation in another manner in the form of a censure. Thank you. Is there any further discussion?
To the chair.
Mr. Bailey.
So I handed out some papers to, I think, most everybody. So I handed out papers to most everybody, I believe, at the board. And on March 11th, it was minutes that were made by the administration, and they were presented at a meeting. At that presentation, at the meeting, some opinions and subjective information was put there. There were no direct quotes per se from President Pridemore, so The thing is, under Robert's Rules of Orders, opinions aren't supposed to be placed into the minutes. This is a legal record of the meeting. Now, the administration did that, and they put that into the minutes. In that packet that I gave you, I have also minutes from the March 11th. No, I'm sorry. It's actually November 14th, 2020. And at that meeting, we have minutes here that were made by the administration where there was a call to the audience, public participation regarding non-agenda items. Mr. Taylor, principal of Redford Union High School, but also a district safety officer, came before the board, mentioned that I was a threat, I was an identified threat to the children. I've sat at this board for 2 years, nothing's been done. I've heard over and over again how important our children are. But what I'm saying is, this was an election year, just as this is an election year. And I think the administration is making a point of interfering with that. I have an article from the Redford Observer from April 18th, 1999. I wasn't able to copy it off because the library is closed. But in that, school staff were trying to remove Mr. Pelto, who at that time was a board member, is because he was asking too many questions. It wasn't too long ago that I was censured almost 3 times. One was for the violation, supposedly, of the Open Meetings Act. Well, it was because I was videotaping the meetings. It says within the law that the right of a person to attend a meeting of a public body includes the right to tape record, to videotape, to broadcast.
That's not the general public. Read the whole thing.
This is a law giving rights to the public for those people that attend the meeting.
Mr. Bailey, I'm going to just ask, I understand that you have an issue with past censure. However, we are not discussing past censure or Open Meetings Act. The discussion should be around specifically the March 11th, 2024 meeting minutes and whether or not they are going to be amended to remove the president's remarks. I also want to point out that you gave a packet with your highlights to everyone at this board table except for me and Mr. Witt. So I intentionally chose not to put that because he knows he's wrong. But we'll go on. I'm just going to ask you to keep your discussion to this particular agenda item.
So the discussion is due process.
No,
which
that's not the
I'm being
discussion.
denied due process.
You are not being
to
denied.
defend myself in the public before the board.
Okay. The discussion is regarding an agenda item and whether or not we are going to amend the minutes. It is not around due process. No one has denied you the right to defend yourself. We allow you to speak and defend yourself every time an accusation comes forward. No one has ever silenced you at this table. So let's bring it back and discuss whether or not these minutes are going to be amended. Okay. So I hear no further discussion. Is there any further discussion on this matter?
Yes, I would like to say something.
Mrs. Warren.
So in the packet that Trustee Bailey gave, the reason why that one sentence was put under President's remarks, sometime President Pridemore will say, "for the record." This particular sentence, her statement, I took it to be for the record because she said, "I want to make this clear." That's the only reason why that sentence was added in there. Yes, I could have took out a couple of words that she said. But I just left the sentence as is because to me it was a statement that she wanted to make clear to whoever read these minutes. And that's why that was left in there.
And just for the general, I'm gonna read what the minutes say for the community, because I made president's remarks condemning Mr. Bailey's opinions and comments regarding the Larry Nassar victims, women in general, and whether or not we should be birthing children. The current minutes state that President Prizemore stated that she must make it clear that the archaic sexist opinions of Trustee Bailey was not the opinions of the Redford Union School Board nor the Redford Union School District. There's a very good reason that I said that. I don't want this district sued because he doesn't know what's appropriate to say in an open meeting and what's not. I did it to protect this district. Mr. Bailey wants those words removed because he doesn't want it on the record what kind of human being he is. Having said that, is there any further discussion? Yes. Mrs. Warren.
Thank you. So Trustee Bailey also highlighted the section where Secretary Dean's signature would go. She did not sign off on these. So it states there for her signature, when I send the board minutes in the packet, if any board member has anything that they would like to have changed, they would let me know. It's been done this way since I've been on the board. If you look back at all the minutes that's posted, you probably will only see Mr. Kick's signature because he wanted to sign off on the minutes. When Ms. Pridemore was the secretary, she didn't sign. When Lisa Gabachi was the secretary, she didn't sign. When
I don't know, was Sherry ever secretary? I don't know. I don't know of any board secretary other than Mr. Kick that has requested to sign. Pat Isabel.
Ms. Isabel, she didn't sign.
And it's our prerogative to sign. We choose not to exercise that.
Also, you highlighted the call to the audience for non-agenda items where Mr. Taylor, the principal of the high school, addressed the board. I never put what the audience say. It's their name and it's whoever they are representing and the topic. That's the only thing I put.
What topic's on there?
There isn't one.
It's none. It says he addressed the board.
That's right.
So he might not have had a topic on his form. Never put what the audience member says.
Our minutes would be way too long if we put every person's words, every word that is spoken.
And actually, MASD suggests that you really only put, there was a call to the audience. I don't even have to put the person's name.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Warren. All right. Is there any further discussion? Okay, so it requires a roll call because I moved it to an action item to amend the meetings, removing my comments. I will go down the road. Mr. Bailey.
A point of information. What is it we're having up with now?
Your issue, okay. Your motion originally, your issue originally was that you wanted my words taken from the minutes. In order to amend them and have them removed, it will require a majority vote of this board. If you would like to specifically say which words you want removed, now is your time to do that, and then we are going to go to a roll call.
It seems to me at the last meeting, which I think these were the minutes from that you're talking about, that the opinions are removed out of the official record.
So
It's
you,
not your words, it's the opinions, the
Okay.
subjective information.
it's not subjective information. You're on record of having said everything that I said you did. All right, we're moving on. Are we removing, here's what I'm gonna say. Are you asking for us to remove from the point where it says, President Pridemore stated that she must make it clear that the archaic sexist opinions of Trustee Bailey was not the opinion of the Redford Union School Board nor the Redford Union School District? Is that what you want removed?
Stated that she must make it clear that the archaic sexist opinions of Trustee Bailey,
So you
I
want,
want that removed.
okay. So the board is hearing what Mr. Bailey wants removed. So that is the motion to remove those words, and we will now go to a roll call. Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mrs. Dean? Mrs. Martin?
No.
Ms. Miller? Mr. Osowski?
No.
The chair votes no.
No. No.
It is 5 noes, 1 yes. The minutes will not be amended. I think we probably need to approve them as originally presented, or does that cover it? Do we need another action item?
They will add those particular, sorry. Because those particular items were pulled from the agenda, the last time around, it does make sense that that would be added
Okay,
as an agenda item.
okay, so we're gonna add an agenda item. It's gonna be a quick one. We'll call it 8.1. And I will read it this way. Can I get a motion that the Board of Education approve the March 11th, 2024 regular meeting minutes of the Redford Union School Board as presented?
Support.
Moved by Mrs. Miller, seconded by Mr. Osowski. We've already had discussion, so we will not entertain. I will roll call vote this. Mr. Bailey? Mr. Bailey is a no. Mrs. Dean?
Yes.
Yes. Mrs. Martin?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Osowski?
Yes.
The chair votes yes. The minutes are approved as originally presented, 6-1. All right, number 9. This was added today because I did take some time to think about this as I expressed to you in our last meeting. Currently, the Michigan Association of School Board Board of Directors has a vacancy. It is a interview process much like our own. You all know that I ran for a seat and was defeated, and so now I have the opportunity to submit my name again. But I do need board action in order to do that. So, can I get a motion that, that the Board of Education nominate for consideration to be included as a nominee for the vacant position on the MASB Board of Directors? That is moved by Mr. Osowski, seconded by Ms. Miller. Of course, I accept because I've asked you for it. Can I get a motion to close the nominations for the vacant position of the MASB Board of Directors? Moved by Mr. Osowski, seconded by Ms. Miller. All in favor say yes.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, roll call vote relative to Evelyn Pridemore's nomination for consideration to be included as a nominee for the vacant position on the MASB Board of Directors. Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mrs. Dean?
Yes.
Mrs. Martin?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Osowski?
Yes.
The chair votes yes. Kathy, I will follow up with you because my deadline to apply is Friday. Motion carries. Okay, so item number 10, which is an add-in item, and I will take one and pass them down. I have asked this board. Oh, yeah, I should. Sorry. Everybody got one? Okay. You guys want? All right, so I've asked the board to consider a censure of Mr. Bailey regarding his previous comments. And for the record, a censure is a public declaration by this board that his conduct is unbecoming of a board member and that we do not stand by that. It's basically a slap on the wrist, but it sends a very strong message in my mind. So I will read the resolution and then I will ask for a vote. Resolution of the Board of Education of the Redford Union School District for censure of School Board Trustee Jim Bailey. Whereas the Board of Education of the Redford Union School District is committed to the highest degree of professional conduct, transparency, and ethics by its board members. And whereas the Board of Education of the Redford Union School District recognizes that board members have ethical duties and responsibilities related to their public office toward each other as board members, to the Redford Union School District, and to the public constituents that elected the members to the school board. And whereas the Board of Education of the Redford Union School District has promulgated its policy on board member ethics in board policy, and whereas the Board of Education of the Redford Union School District has previously censured Trustee Bailey for his conduct, and whereas Board Bylaw Section 1001, Duties and Responsibilities of Board Members, states that in part that board members are elected to serve the interest of the school district and the entire school community. These interests may not be subordinated to any partisan principle, group, or interest. And whereas Board Bylaw Section 101 Code of Ethics states that as a board member, I will promote the best interest of the school district as a whole and will adhere to the following ethical standards and principles. And whereas Board Section Bylaw Section 1001 Code of Ethics Item 12 states in part that I will strive to keep the board focused on its primary work of clarifying the school district purpose, direction, and goals. And whereas Board Bylaw Section 1001 Discipline and Removal states that by a majority vote, the board may censure an individual board member or members for violating federal or Michigan law, these bylaws, or board policy, or otherwise acting in a manner inconsistent with the office of a board member. Whereas the Board of Education of the Redford Union School District makes the following factual findings. The adherence to the board bylaws are primary responsibilities of the board and in the best interest of every student in the district. That each board member must act with dignity and understand the implications of their demeanor and behavior. That the following conduct by Trustee Bailey falls short of the board's expectations and supports the issuance of this censure. That in prior conversation with a female staff member, Trustee Bailey indicated to her that the reason school districts like ours have a declining enrollment was because women like her were not staying at home and having babies. This made the staff member uncomfortable enough to report the conversation to the RUEA. During discussion at the February 12, 2024 meeting of the board, Trustee Bailey said that only one person came forward against Larry Nasser, but over 400 lined up for the money. On March 11, 2024, President Pridemore issued a statement during President's remarks, saying in part that Trustee Bailey's comments were unacceptable and not in accordance with the opinions of the Redford Union School Board or the Redford Union School District, to which Trustee Bailey responded with disdain and a comment later that it was a woman's patriotic duty to pop out babies. Trustee Bailey continues to conduct himself in a manner that is clearly disrespectful to women and therefore creates a hostile working environment. Whereas the board determines that Trustee Jim Bailey's conduct is unacceptable, unprofessional, and in violation of the board bylaws cited above. Now therefore be it resolved in order that the Board of Education of the Redford Union School District hereby finds that the foregoing recitals are true and correct. Be it further resolved in order that based on these recitals, the Board of Education of the Redford Union School District hereby publicly censures Trustee Jim Bailey and proclaims publicly that this board disapproves of the aforementioned conduct and finds it to be in violation of board bylaws and unacceptable behavior that shall not be tolerated. Be it further resolved and ordered that the Board of Education of the Redford Union School District hereby gives notice to all of its constituents and to the general public that trustee Jim Bailey, acting individually and outside of public board meetings, does not have any legal authority or power to act on behalf of the Board of Education of the Redford Union School District, and his opinions and statements disparaging the Larry Nassar victims and women in general are not the opinions of the Redford Union School Board. That the Board of Education hereby requests that trustee Jim Bailey conduct himself and conform his future behavior in accordance with the board policies and bylaws. That the Board of Education hereby demands that trustee Bailey shall refrain from continuing to make disparaging, demeaning, and sexist comments. And that trustee Bailey will not be afforded the resources, protection, or indemnification as outlined in the board bylaws and traditionally provided to board members should any legal actions arise from this conduct. Thank you. Having said that, can I get a motion by the Board of Education to publicly censure trustee Jim Bailey? Moved by Mr. Osowski, seconded by Ms. Miller. Is there any discussion? I will start first and say, I apologize that I kind of blindsided you with this. It takes a lot of work to write something like this, and I really wanted to make sure, one, that I did it in a manner that was appropriate. Two, I just felt it was important to, for the record, state, especially given not knowing how the minutes were going to be approved or amended, for the record to show that we, as a board, don't stand by comments made like that, but any board member, whomever they may be. So if you feel blindsided, I apologize, but I just felt that it took a lot of time on this. So is there any further discussion?
Yes. So what happens? Like, what is it? You know, just being a person.
Yeah. So essentially, it's a shame on you, we don't approve. However, it also becomes legal evidence in the event that we wanted to petition the governor, for example, for his removal. It just kind of puts puts a little meat behind our words and our beliefs and us standing up for our constituents. So, I mean, it doesn't have a lot of weight. I mean, our attorney says basically it's a slap on the wrist, but it's in the message, and it sends a message that I think is important. So that's what it is.
Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? All right, hearing none, this requires a roll call vote. Mr. Bailey? No. Mrs. Jean? Mrs. Martin?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Osowski? Yes. Chair votes yes, this motion carries 6-0. I'm sorry, 5-1. You're correct, I don't know how to count. Thank you. All right, it's been a long night, and if you have not gotten your little blue papers in, last call to get those little blue papers in. I know somebody's going to check them. We are at call to the audience, public participation regarding non-agenda items. I will once again state that this is not a back and forth. We don't answer questions, and I know this is a very heated subject, and it's very personal to a lot of us, but I do ask that you approach and speak with respect. Marie Gaisley. Yeah. I don't have anything. They're bringing you the mic, Marie. And once you have it, I'll ask that you state your name, address, and your purpose for your addressing of the board for the record. I'm sorry, just name.
Thank you.
Testing. My name is Marie Gazley, Gazley. I'm not going to give you my address. I live in Redford. I've lived here, and my husband has lived here for, wait, how is it going to be? Almost 65 years. I am appalled. Oh, wait, was I supposed to give you any more information?
No, that's good.
Okay, so I'm here as a resident of Redford, a mother, a grandmother, a sister, an aunt, a daughter. Okay, I'm a woman. Really? I don't believe we can have someone sitting on our board, so I'm gonna find out how we can remove someone who can say these things about a woman. I've worked since I was 13 years old. Before I came to school, I worked almost 30 years at a bank. I had a very good job until my job got sold to another city, another state, and I did not want to move. I've worked for the district for over 13 years. My daughter is now a teacher here at Redford Union High School. And now she has a baby. I'm a grandmother. Forgot about that. Only because it just happened 4.5 months ago. I'm just appalled that someone can say something like that about women. Really? What world do you live in? Women have been working for how many years? Are successful? I've been working for, God, I don't even know, since I was 13, so what does that make me? 50-something years I've been working. Okay? No, but seriously. I have been working for 50-some years, and I've had 3 children, 3 wonderful children. One who just built a house in Nevada. Unfortunately, he might lose his job because he works for Tesla, but he's got an awesome engineering job. Went in the Marines for 5 years. I raised some awesome kids. My daughter's now a school teacher. Yes, she's a female school teacher. She's an awesome teacher. And my middle son, he's awesome. He's got his own business now, doing photography, videography. Own boss, look it up. I'm just appalled that you could say something about women that's so derogatory and so archaic. Yeah. I just don't believe you should be sitting on our board representing our township, our Redford Union School District that has many women working for it. Yeah, we all have children. We all pop out babies, as you say. But really? Really? How can you say these things? I really need to figure out what we need to do to petition you and get you off the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ward. Lisa Hildebrand, and I know she represents the Redford Union Education Association. She is our union president.
My name is Lisa Hildebrand. I am the president. Oh, do you need to spell it?
No.
Okay.
You got it.
I'm the president of the Redford Union Education Association. I'm here today to express my concern over comments recently made by Mr. Bailey. Redford Union professes to be a district that ensures a healthy and safe environment that is conducive to learning, while members of the RUEA, under the guidance of the MEA, strive to promote quality education for all students. All students. When a member of the school board continually makes comments that are misogynist, culturally insensitive, and ignorant, it becomes difficult to achieve those ends. For that reason, on behalf of the members of the Redford Union Education Association, I'm calling for the resignation of Mr. Jim Bailey. I'm also stating for the record that if Mr. Bailey chooses not to resign, the RUEA will support and participate in any organized recall effort.
Thank you, Ms. Hildebrand. Mike Taylor, Redford Union High School principal.
Good evening, Mike Taylor, principal here at Redford Union High School. I'm also the president of the Administrators Association, alumni, 99. I want to apologize to the board that I've got to come speak in front of you again, unfortunately, for another board meeting. So I know time is valuable, and I do want to thank everybody for staying around, those of you that did. That speaks volumes, and I think if we have the same result in June here at the board, we're going to have a larger crowd here. As you heard Ms. Hildebrand said, the RUEA will support any recall efforts, and I can speak for my group as well. A couple of things I want to address real quick. Obviously, Ms. Pridemore, your censure named everything for the audience, so everybody's not aware of that. Last board meeting, we had a call to the audience. We had our student representative, Ms. Jeswick, here. We had several female administrators, as well as a community member speak, and we had a president and founder of the Posse Foundation come and speak to the board. And things got very emotional in that room. We had, I think, at one point, 6 females crying, consoling each other, hugging, tissues being passed around. I think that was a good opportunity for Mr. Bailey to step back and maybe assess what he's done with his comments to this community, to them particularly. I did not see any emotion out of him. Could maybe afterwards a pat on the back or I'm sorry, none of that, but I think the time for apology is over. So I think that speaks volumes to the type of character and morals that this board member has. And like our past speakers just said, we cannot have a board member representing our community, certainly our student body, and let me be clear, Ms. Jeswick is here to represent the student body, and she speaks for everybody when she does. I will speak for the administration and my staff as well. This board member can no longer serve our community and our school district. Second of all, I just want to hit on a comment. I heard my name back there mentioned from a previous board, and I believe Ms. Kick at the call to the audience, the last board member mentioned, board meeting, mentioned as well about videos being taken by Mr. Bailey at the elementary schools. If I remember correctly, Mr. Bailey's response was, they're on YouTube, they're on YouTube, they're on YouTube. But as we know, as we've proven in the past, our last superintendent search, videos that Mr. Bailey produces are edited. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he was also FOIA'd for videos that he's been taking by, I believe there was a hefty price tag that came along with that, which is part of FOIA, but I think the amount that was asking for. And I guess my point is, if the videos are harmless, then why isn't there explanation behind them, and why aren't the videos turned over? Why do we have to ask for them time and time again? Why does there have to be a FOIA request for videos of our children at dismissal without the permission of their parents, let alone our teachers and paraprofessionals that are out there being videotaped as well? So I guess I'm confused about that. So when you say that I said that you were a threat to the safety of our children, you're exactly right. If you can't produce the videos unedited, which by now God knows what's happened to those videos, I don't understand which. So maybe in my opinion, maybe the State Attorney General's office has to start investigating you, because when we have videos of children taken by a board member that are not turned over, you absolutely refuse to turn them over, that's an issue. And that's one other reason that you should not be serving on this board. So with that said, my last comment is this. We have the full commitment of a nonprofit to recall you now. Price tag is not a problem for them. So I think it's fair to give you yet another opportunity here tonight to resign with respect and some dignity left, or there will be a recall. I don't know what this nonsense is about some political motivation. I could care less about your political aspirations. There is no political motivation behind this. The only motivation behind this is that you can no longer represent this district. Thank you.
Mr. Taylor, Ms. Jeswick.
Good evening. My name is Alicia Jeswick, and I'm the student representative for Redford Union High School. On April 8, 2024, I sat across the street at McGowan and gave a speech regarding a trustee's damaging and derogatory comments towards women and the victims of Larry Nassar. I find it appalling that I'm sitting here today, over a month later, and I'm here to give a speech once more regarding this topic, but nonetheless, I feel compelled to speak for what I know and believe is right. On April 8th, 6 people took the time to write a speech and present it to the board. One of the 6 was Valerie Von Frank, a mother who had a daughter face the abuse of Larry Nassar. Her speech sparked tears for everyone in the room. I was one of the many who was moved by her speech, and for days after the meeting, I thought about what she said. One of the quotes that stuck out to me from Ms. Frank referred to Trustee Bailey's comment about how survivors were lining up for money, and she went on to state how Mr. Bailey is telling the survivors of sexual assault in the district exactly how they will be perceived. On February 12, 2024, Mr. Bailey not only assaulted the victims of Larry Nassar, but everyone else who has been sexually abused. Mr. Bailey went on to say that in the case of Larry Nassar, there were 200 to 400 women who went to court to claim their money, but only 2 pressed the issue of Larry Nassar's abuse. I cannot start to express how appalling, disgusting, and untruthful these words are. Larry Nassar overpowered these women for years on end and got away with it despite multiple reports being made. 156 survivors took time to write a speech and present it not only to the court, but to the whole entire world. And it is appalling to hear the survivors being discredited by your hands. These survivors were not in it for the money, but for the justice that they deserve. As a student who has been directly affected by the words of Trustee Bailey, I no longer feel comfortable nor trust this member on the board to represent this school district, a school district that has a student body that is primarily female and students who have experienced sexual abuse. Therefore, Mr. Bailey, I am asking you to resign. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cheswick. I'm just gonna go last call. Are there any other forms out there? I typically won't allow you to speak without a form, but I also don't want anybody to not feel they have the right to have their voice heard. All right. I'm gonna use my voice here and not in board communication discussion. I'm gonna echo what the others in this room have said. Like I said last month, if this had happened in the workforce, Mr. Bailey would have very likely been terminated for sexual harassment and for creating a hostile work environment. I called it what it was in my censure. It's a hostile environment. I don't have the power, and nobody at the table has the power to fire him. We do have the power to recall him. And I urge the constituents of the Redford Union School District to think about who is sitting at this table and who represents them. And I will use my voice as not only the president of this board, a woman and a voter in Redford Union School District, to once again call for your immediate resignation. Having said that, superintendent's remarks. Mr. Witt.
So you were all provided in your packet a resolution that was enacted by the Wayne County RESA Board of Education, recognizing National Teacher Appreciation Week, which was last week, May 6th through 10th, 2024. And so, more or less as an informational item, we did just want to provide that to the board, and it was requested that we do so by Wayne RESA. And we also did a number of things throughout last week at each building to recognize our teachers for all the important work that they do on a day in, day out basis to support our students and to support their learning and growth. So congratulations to our teachers. We do appreciate you, and we thank you for your efforts in each and every one of our classrooms and in each and every one of your roles that you take on for our students. Next, just to highlight informational item for the board, but also for the community. On June 14th, we will be moving, when school is out, last student day is June 12th, half day. On that Friday, June 14th, we will be moving to our summer office hours from June 14th through August 30th. So we will move to the Monday through Thursday schedule and be closed on Fridays. And so I just wanted to give that informational item at a public meeting. We will publicize those hours for our community so they know when and where they will be able to find us. And our summer school programs are going to be starting both at the secondary and elementary, and they will also be operating on a Monday through Thursday basis. I'm pleased to report with our summer school elementary program, the secondary is focusing a lot on credit recovery things and along those lines, but at the elementary level, we are doing not only an academic enrichment summer school program in the morning, with a focus a lot at those early grade levels on literacy, which is critical, but we have also partnered again with the YMCA to offer families a full day solution for the weeks that we are offering summer school program, and partnering with the Y where they will be running other fun enrichment activities for our students in the afternoons. So that is out there, that information has been provided to families and it's being publicized, but I wanted to highlight it here. And the last comment I had tonight, I just wanted to highlight all our jobs as school staff members are challenging. There's no shortage of challenges. That goes for our administrators as well. And so on behalf of one of our principals, I did just want to highlight something that I would ask that in the future board members refrain from. This relates in particular to some actions by Mr. Bailey, and I don't really know if this was before the past board meeting where the beach bus loop was approved, or whether it was close to after, which would be even more surprising if it was after Mr. Bailey actually voted to support the beach bus loop. But Mr. Bailey took it upon himself to contact our neighbor, the chief operating officer for David Ellis Academy West, right there across the street from Beach Elementary. On Beach Daily, he contacted the chief operating officer for David Ellis Academy and basically told him that he better be prepared because this bus loop that the board voted on really wasn't going to solve any traffic issues. It was going to create more issues. And what's amazing about this is last year before the school year started, I sat in a room alongside Miss Nickel, principal at Beach Elementary, along with Mr. Hurd and other representatives from David Ellis Academy, and we work through these issues with our partners in other districts all the time. So again, our jobs are challenging as school district administrators, challenging enough, and sometimes even more challenging if individual board members are taking it upon themselves to reach out and contact people that we, as administrators, if there's a need to reach out to David Ellis Academy, we definitely know where to find them. We've had those conversations in the past, and so I would just like to encourage board members in the future, if there are programs you want to find out about, we can make arrangements. Ms. Warren is happy to help assist with that. I'm happy to help assist with those things. And in addition to that, I would just like to remind that it's important that you allow us as administrators to take care of our responsibilities. And I assure you that we're doing so as an administrative team. And I just wanted to highlight that for the board. In addition, just because it was mentioned earlier by Mr. Bailey, I also did want to just address the fact that Mr. Bailey is famous for going forward with this opinion. No one contests the right of a member of the public to video record a board meeting. However, we've had both an attorney for the Michigan Association of School Boards and our own legal counsel in a closed session with the board advise board members that when they sit at this table as an elected official, they are no longer acting in their public capacity. So, I am happy to see that Mr. Bailey, to my knowledge, is not recording this meeting tonight. Oh, he did set that up. So, I just want to say that I still continue to have the position because 2 attorneys that I trust, plus the law degree that I have on my wall, and the 5 years I have practicing as an education law attorney, tell me that your rights when you sit as a board member on this table do not match the rights of every single public citizen. When it comes to the actions of this board, you need to act as a board in concert with the board and at the will of the majority of this board. So I know Mr. Bailey honestly believes he has the right to come here every single time we meet and record the meetings, but I just had to state on the record that we've been advised multiple times. Board members that were involved in those closed sessions have been advised that, including Mr. Bailey, that there is no right of a board member to unilaterally choose to record a meeting of this public body. So, thank you for this opportunity to share these remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Witt.
To the chair.
Mr. Bailey, since you insist that we follow Robert's rules, we will do so. I may regret this decision, but Board of Education communication and discussion. Mr. Bailey, did you?
So this is under superintendent's remarks.
Correct.
So Mr. Wood had mentioned that I had contacted the chief operating officer. How do you know that?
Again, getting back to our lives are complex enough, dealing with our own students and families. And again, we're great community partners, but that information was provided to me by the principal of that building, who had to field a phone call from the COO of David Ellis Academy West. And to be honest with you, he had a lot of unflattering things to share regarding your competency as a board member and representative of the district. And we had to, again, that's something that then ended up on my plate that then I had to deal with and respond to as well. So that's how I learned. The representative from David Ellis Academy West contacted Principal Nickel and took time from both their days to have that conversation. That then got passed on to me.
So if I ask them, they will say exactly what you said. Because the only individual I spoke when I took pictures of the changes in traffic on Pembroke was a security officer. So if the chief officer is a security officer, then I can see where you're coming from.
Would you like me to respond?
No. No, thank you. You asked how I was made aware of the circumstances. I was made aware of the circumstances by the principal of Beach Elementary School.
Well, I don't know what you're talking about. The only individual I spoke to was security. And he was asking why I was taking pictures of cars in Pembroke. Now, as far as contacting other people, for years, I've been working with the different schools. Now, I don't understand why he would talk like you say he talked in regards to me. I've invited them to the Chamber, well, through the Greater Redford Community Foundation, to the Chamber of Commerce breakfast, so that they could maybe network with the other schools. I've contacted David Ellis in regards to the child and adolescent health centers, which one school right next to the other doesn't necessarily know about that health being available. We had a reindeer that we brought in, and David Ellis was part of 1,000 students in multiple schools that we went to. There was also a Santa Claus that we had for them. They were also contacted about Girl Scouts being available within the neighboring schools.
So
The
Mr.
Redford Service Academy, we brought farm animals out in over 900 students over multiple schools within the community. Thurston, we helped make their play a possibility because we loaned them one of our projectors. We've given projectors to multiple child care facilities, video projectors. Vandenberg, we had about 400 students who participated in.
We're not getting.
The Greater Redford Community Foundation.
Mr. Kick. Mr. Kick. Thank you.
So you're telling me that not to contact and speak with any of these people?
My request was in your capacity as a member of this Board of Education, that you allow us as administrators to do our jobs. If you want us to contact other educational entities about certain things, we can figure out ways to do that. That's our role as an administrator.
Great, but what do you have to do with these other things that are being done?
Mr. Bailey, I was simply talking about one conversation that was brought to my attention by the principal at Beach Elementary School.
Okay. Instead of going back and forth on this, I will reiterate that board policy and bylaws states that no board member should act alone. So if at any time you are acting or even mention that you represent Redford Union School Districts in your conversations with them regarding other community events, you are therefore acting on behalf of this board. And no one at this table has the right to do that. It is a violation of our bylaws. If it continues, I will continue to issue censure after censure after censure until I have Dana Nessel remove you from this board for dereliction of duty. And I am serious about that with anybody who sits here. Please do not go anywhere and say, I want to view this because I'm a Redford Union School Board member. I want this because I'm a Redford Union School Board member. If there is something that you want to learn about that is not, including in this district, follow the chain of command, which is via Mr. Witt's office or via one of our principals. If you want to come to one of our school buildings to learn about something that's happening, respect the people who run those buildings. Don't just show up. I didn't show up last summer when I was bringing wedding invitations. I called Mr. Taylor and said, can I come to your building to deliver wedding invitations to my son's wedding before showing up? And I wasn't even on school board business. So having said that, is there any further board communication?
Yes. Thank you. So I was able to attend the superintendent evaluation training on May 7th, and I just wanted to know, when are we going to start having some of those conversations about evaluations?
Over the next couple weeks we will, and my hope is that at the June board meeting, we will include a closed session to conduct that evaluation.
Thank you.
To the chair.
Mr. Bailey?
Ms. Martin, have you received any training on that yet?
She just said that.
Yes, I went to the training on May 7th. That was, I was working.
Miss Martin was the only board member who had not previously completed the training, and I worked with Miss Warren, and she's a problem solver, and we were able to identify a session that, as she's indicated now twice, Miss Martin completed through MASB.
Well,
So that would mean every board member has now been trained in the process.
that's wonderful, because last year we waited until the due date, June 30th, for us to do it. And the idea is not to do that this year, and also for the people that are coming on board to look at onboarding and things of that nature, which I'm not seeing getting done.
Well, Ms. Bailey, actually, Ms. Primer, we did have a conversation about some onboarding materials possibly. I saw something when we were in the training, and they did have some list of some things possibly we could talk about, which I was gonna try to bring that up to during the first study session, maybe to talk about that.
Yeah. We've talked about the need to have some onboarding, especially, and now we have potentially a new board member coming on. That's gonna take a committee. That's not, the work of one person. It probably should be a committee of the whole, because we all have input, valuable input, with what we went through as new board members that would be helpful to a new board member. So it's definitely a study session situation, I believe. We also, Mrs. Martin also and I also discussed the possibility of sometime this summer, because we don't do a lot of business typically in the summer, to use one of our study sessions as a informal sit down across the table from one another, eat some pizza, and just get to know each other as board members, because most of us don't know one another. Like Mr. Wazowski and I know each other pretty well because our kids came to school together, but we don't know each other well. We haven't done a lot of team building, and there is unfortunately some division on this board, and hopefully we can come together and know some quirky little things about each other maybe, and just understand a little more about one another, and maybe heal some of the wounds that we are currently experiencing. Having said that, future meeting dates scheduled at this time: Tuesday, May 20th, special board meeting, interviewing board candidates, 5:30 p.m., McGowan School District Meeting Room across the street. Canceled the Tuesday, May 28th school board workshop because we are doing the special meeting instead. Monday, June 10th, 2024, regular meeting, 5:30 p.m., currently scheduled for the district meeting room, but potentially here. Monday, June 17th, regular meeting, final budget resolution and other pertinent items, 5:30 p.m., McGowan School District Meeting Room. Monday, June 17th, board workshop immediately following the regular meeting at McGowan School. And don't forget, graduation is May 29th.
To the chair.
Mr. Bailey.
So I was expecting to still be in the Board of Education Communications discussion.
Well, I moved on from that, Mr. Bailey.
One of the things is Mr. Taylor is gone, but
He's not done. He's still there.
are you sure? You're choreographing the graduation?
Mr. Bailey?
You're choreographing the graduation?
He's in charge of graduation.
So I had asked this after the last graduation. Can we have an opportunity to, once everybody goes by, is to go out and interface with the staff?
More than free to do what you like, yes.
No, everybody's gone if it's not set into the playbook.
The place wants the graduates out the back door. We only have it for a certain amount of time, so they don't want anybody lingering on the floor. They want them to go out.
That's why I don't want to do it. I want it, this is it, now the board can go down and thank the staff for the opportunity for their work and whatever. And Otherwise, they're going.
Well, the teachers are going to leave when they want to leave. They're there at their own free will, so they're not going to want to hang around and talk. If they do, then that's great, but the teachers are going to want to leave. It's been a long day for all of the teachers as well. They're not wanting to stay and talk to board members. They've congratulated their students and then they're ready to leave. If any linger that you can communicate with and they're willing to do so, then.
Thank you. The other thing is the video that I was,
Mr. Benning, we are past board communication. We are past that. I'm not entertaining any further board communication. Can I get a motion that the Board of Education, a motion to adjourn the meeting? Moved by Ms. Grosowski, seconded by Ms. Miller. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. The time is